We've been here before with Sheng on the verge of playing a final. This time, though, it's going to be different. He won't lose it. Today comes at you the first of two finals, the DFB-POKAL firstly, and the next episode will feature a live episode in the Champions League final. Welcome to episode 50 now of the Player Career Story. Sit yourselves back, enjoy, and get ready to witness the DFB-POKAL final where Borussia Dortmund will take on Bayern Munich. Now, I said in the last episode, if anybody can predict the scoreline, I would give you guys a shout out. And at the time of me recording this video, I looked over the last video in the comment section. Nobody has predicted the correct scoreline, of course. I've played it. I know what score it is going to be, but none of you guys have been able to actually get the result correct as so far. So that's quite intriguing, actually. I thought I might actually have to give a few shout-outs in today's episode. But nevertheless, thank you to everyone who left a comment, obviously, with their prediction. But unfortunately, nobody did actually get the prediction right. So we've got 2 games to come before we move into that final. And that is going to be in the final 2 games of the Bundesliga campaign. Of course, even though Borussia Dortmund can't win the title, they're still trying to fight to make sure they keep their spot in the Champions League. Of course, if they win the Champions League itself, it doesn't matter if they don't finish in the top 4 in the Bundesliga, because they'll still be in the competition next season. But just in case it all goes pear-shaped and they don't win it, we need to make sure that Dortmund are playing Champions League football. But there's a whole reason why they didn't win the title this year, and this is exactly why. I mean, defensively, they have been atrocious in certain areas. This is a side they're playing today, in which they should beat. You know, there's no denying that. We know Dortmund are good enough. We know they should be able to beat them, but defensively, they make too many errors in just areas that they shouldn't be making them. So a team like Cologne, when this goes in, you're kind of thinking to yourself, that sums up the season for Dortmund in the Bundesliga. Really poor at the back, not able to defend well, and it's inconsistency that's the problem for them. So having to come from behind in a, I guess, relatively meaningless game in the aspect that, you know, for the title, it doesn't matter. But as I said, for Champions League, it's still relevant. So G's doing everything he can in his power to get the side back into the game. And you've got to remember as well, it's a nice warm-up for G heading into that cup final in the DFB-POKAL, because traditionally, Bayern Munich are a tough side to play against. So if he can get some confidence going and some blood flowing to the veins, you know, it's always a good thing to have. He actually did get an equaliser, though, with 16 minutes to go. And it was a lovely finish towards the bottom corner. And with that, Dortmund drew level. So 1-1 here with 13 minutes left when G again picks up the ball in a really dangerous area. Just runs all the way through before firing an unbelievable strike, which cannons off the crossbar. The rebounding header ends up being saved by the goalkeeper, and it was so unfortunate that it didn't actually nestle in the back of the net until the 92nd minute. Mitrovic's effort, he comes back off the crossbar. This time, though, the rebound is put in where Dortmund had failed it. They couldn't put in the rebound, but Cologne would do it. Kalou having the final say on the game in order to give his side the full 3 points, and that right there is why Borussia Dortmund have not won the Bundesliga title this season. Too inconsistent. You've got to defend when it's the 92nd minute of the game. You can't give away goals like that. It's as simple as that. You don't win titles if you do things like that. So they were made to pay for their mistakes. There you go. It is what it is. They're going to have to focus now and try and get themselves this top 4 by winning the final game of the season, because this defeat throws it all up into the air, because now Red Bull Leipzig, if they win, they will leapfrog them into 4th place. But, I mean, you can see by the match facts, it's just a frustrating time, really, other than anything else. But a couple of things to note. China, they've selected him for the upcoming World Cup, so we are going to see G feature in a World Cup. Can he single-handedly carry China in that one through to knockout rounds? Also, this whole saga regarding what's to come for G, the first team to input their offer was actually Chelsea. Chelsea have made a move for him. It's not quite the 250 million euros that we were hearing Barcelona were preparing, but it's enough to be accepted by Dortmund. And now it's over to the player to discuss terms with Chelsea if he does want to go to the Premier League. We'll see if he turns down the offer or not. Still to come. So Chelsea are the first team to make their move, the first team to bite the bullet, if you will, and try and sign the young Chinese superstar. But he had to put that to the back of his mind because, as I said, there's still a job to do here in the league before we look forward to that DFB-POKAL final. And it's coming against Mainz, a side that, again, is similar to Cologne in the aspect that they've got to win games like this, Borussia Dortmund. And G showed positive signs early on before picking up a yellow card for a really bad tackle, but it didn't matter, I didn't show you it too much. But even though they had these positive signs, and I've said it, you know, before, it's pretty much exactly the same scenario as it was against Cologne, because they did everything but put the ball in the back of the net. As you can see, chance after chance. Pion Sisto then finding a pass inside to Roda. He will lay it off, and eventually it comes back inside. And chance missed by Dortmund. And with all those missed chances, like I said, we've seen this all before. Because Mainz then, They got themselves their first chance. Came to Moore on the right. What a pass that is through, may I add, because that was a phenomenal through ball. Before finding Muto, and he smashed it into the bottom corner to give it Mainz 1, Dortmund 0. So, square one. We've seen it before, as I said, and we're likely to see it yet again in this one. So, given the fact that they faced Bayern Munich in the Deutsche Pokal final in not too long, this isn't great. You know, you want to be going into that in some sort of confidence, give it your all, get some boosting going, but the way they're playing at the moment, defensively, if they do this against Bayern, they are going to get taught a horrendous lesson of Borussia Dortmund. And G's looking for a way back into the game, did ever so well here before hitting the post. It just felt so annoying when I saw stuff like that happen. I felt like it just wasn't going to be their day. Again, it's another good opportunity. Lovely through ball. First goal from Mainz came in from a nice through ball, actually. And this one also came from a through ball as well. But the finish is exquisite. Two really good finishes for the two goals that you're seeing in the first two games of the episode. I mean, look at that for a finish right in off the underside of the crossbar. Keeper could not do anything. Mainz 1, Dortmund 1. Sheng, who got his side back on level terms in the last game, has done it again here in the final game of this Bundesliga season. The goal itself of the highest quality. That's what we want to see against Bayern in this Deutsche Pokal final. We don't want to see any poor defending, any mistakes being made. We want to see goals like that. And with the last kick of the game, you thought maybe, just maybe, were they going to steal this at the depth? Well, the ball was brilliant. Finish, not so much. And Christian Pulisic's effort went wide of the post, meant that Mainz and Dortmund would draw on the final day, which threw it up into air. Have Dortmund done enough to qualify for next season's Champions League? And or are they going to have to rely on a Champions League victory in the final in order to give themselves Champions League football again? The players didn't celebrate, so that was kind of an indicator. I felt like it was a little bit nervy because I didn't actually know. But with the players not really celebrating, you kind of feel like I just don't know. But when we came out of game, you can see right there, Leipzig did in fact draw with Hoffenheim, meaning that the draw, it stays exactly as it is. Dortmund finished 4th, and Leipzig will finish in that 5th place spot. Player of the competition, though, went to Sheng, which is to be expected. Mali was actually the top goal scorer for Wolfsburg as they went on to claim themselves a Bundesliga title, which was a sensational result for them. And you're actually going to see that highlighted in the team of the season that was actually voted for by people who watched the Bundesliga on the Bundesliga's official Twitter of 2021. The team of the season looked like this. In goal, Manuel Neuer keeping the most clean sheets out of anyone in the division. A back four made completely of Wolfsburg players. Mali in the midfield with Halilovic, Vitinho and Sheng on the wings, and Bolo and Serge Gnabry up front. So that is the 2021-2022 Bundesliga team of the season featuring Sheng. And the Chelsea offer was rejected. He didn't want to go to Stamford Bridge. We understand that now. I've been told it's because of the fact that the formation which they played, a 5 at the back, he doesn't feel like it's going to suit him very well. And so he decided to turn down the offer from Chelsea. It was a very generous offer of 250 grand a week, but he's not about the money. You know, it's about playing football, winning things, and having the best time of it. So that's what G wants, really, more than anything in the world. So you can see here leaving training a few days. Well, this is actually a couple of days just before the final against Bayern. They're really putting in the effort. You can see it's quite late at night, this one. So clearly Dortmund working very heavy in order to try and take down this Bayern side, which they'll definitely go into as underdogs. Bayern finished higher in the league. They've overall been probably the better side this season. They've got the best goalkeeper in the league as well in the form of Manuel Neuer, so training had to be worked on. I mean, you can see they did a lot of drills to do with finishing. This is the first of them. They did all right in it. Not phenomenal, but it's something you can take into the game and work on. I mean, this is a really good strike from G, actually. If he pulls one of those out in this final, everybody's going to be happy with it. But yeah, a little insight to training showing you what was going on at the Dortmund camp. Of course, we can't see the Bayern camp because that is unable to be viewed by us. But ultimately, training was going well. Everybody felt confident, even with the two disappointing results at the back end of the Bundesliga season. You got to fancy your chances. You know, it's all on the day. Anything is possible. But traditionally, G's not really been the greatest man for winning finals, has he? We saw him lose one with Burnley against Manchester United. I think we've beaten their side with Juventus. Did they win the Coppa Nazionale in Italy? I'm pretty sure they did. So, yeah, you know, we've seen him play in 3. I think he's lost 2 of them. First one against Napoli, of course, when he first joined Juve. One with Burnley, and then he won 1 with Juventus. But yeah, trying to get back to that 50% ratio. So here we are then, boys and girls. The Deutsche Pokal final. Bayern Munich face off against Borussia Dortmund. The stage is set. The players are ready. It is time to crown one of these two teams. Coming up next, obviously, we're going to get into the highlights, though. We don't want to wait around, and you can see the players warming up ahead of this massive game. Sheng on your screen right there. Two very evenly matched sides as we are playing it today at the Olympiastadion. Now, I don't know exactly what the reason for that is. Maybe that is the ground where it is held, but I don't actually know because I would just assume it would be held somewhere in Germany with that one, but there you go. And as I'm saying this, Olympiastadion might be in Germany. I don't actually know. So there we go. But players to watch. Surprising. Hasn't gone to who I thought it was going to go to. No Sheng in there. It's actually gone to Alvaro Morata and Maxi Gomez. So they are deciding the two forwards today are going to play an integral role, which might be the case. You know, we don't know. All we know is that traditionally looking at this Dortmund side, unless G's playing well, they don't tend to do a whole lot in terms of creating chances. But there we go. So the Bayern side lines up like this. Manuel Neuer in goal. Of course, back four is Alaba, Savic, Mustafi and Odriozola. Midfield five, which is stacked, and Alvaro Morata up front. So that is the Bayern lineup for Dortmund, though. Berkey starts in goal. Hendricks, Toprak, Conti and Martin at the back. Weigl, Partey and Rode in the midfield with Pulisic, Gomez and Sheng up front. So two evenly stacked teams. Which way is this one going to go? Well, we have an abundance of highlights coming your way, beginning with a massive save from Manuel Neuer. You can see why he was given the Golden Glove for the Bundesliga this season, because he pulled off an unreal save to keep his side in it. He then completed the favour again after Sheng cleverly worked his way through before firing straight at the German international. We continue the highlights, though, and all the pressure was coming from Borussia Dortmund. Bayern looked a little bit out of place in the game. I don't know what it was. Maybe the occasion got to them, but they just didn't look the same team that you would have expected them to be. You know, these are great chances for Borussia Dortmund, but as it stood, they hadn't actually taken any of them. And when Bayern grew into the game, Kingsley Coman down the right-hand side, a really good run from him, finding Thiago towards Morata. And that could be the save of the game from Berkey. Saving very close range from Alvaro Morata to stop Bayern from taking a lead. And then we move into the last few minutes of the game. It was an abundance here of just attacking threat coming from Dortmund. Both teams on the all-out attack. But as a 90-minute whistle went, it was all square. So we moved into extra time. Again, still both teams all-out attack. And then this happened. Sheng bursting through. Should have squared it, didn't do, saved off the bar. And in massive controversy, Dortmund took the lead. I thought for sure this goal was going to be ruled for offside. Take a look at this when you see it now. The shot comes in from G, header onto the bar from Pulisic, but this is the moment where it should have been disallowed for me. You can see Sheng ducks underneath the ball, and the argument here will be that he's impeded Manuel Neuer. Now, for me, there isn't a whole lot in that. Neuer's going to argue the case. Bayern will argue the case. But personally speaking, I was just over the moon because I don't know how Christian Pulisic actually put his header straight against the crossbar, and substitute Christian Portu came off the bench to give Dortmund the goods inside the 94th minute. And then in the 105th minute, just before the halftime break, we've seen these type of runs from him before when he did it again. And I don't know what it was about Borussia Dortmund, but they loved hitting the crossbar in this game. Yeah, they did it again. Luckily, though, this one bouncing back down from Thomas Partey. And within a matter of one half of extra time, Borussia Dortmund struck twice and took a 2-0 lead in the DFB-POKAL final. Now, I was thinking about doing this game live, but then I decided, there's not really much of a point because I'm going to be doing the Champions League live. I want to kind of separate the two. I want to show the magnitude, obviously, of the Champions League because it is a massive competition, you know. Not everybody even gets to a final. My favourite club, of course, Arsenal, have only ever reached it once in terms of what the Champions League, since I've been alive, obviously, and that's 20 years now. So, yeah, I mean, we lost that. So, it is a very, very rare occasion that you get to one, and that's why I wanted to kind of change it. But half-time whistle went of this one here at the DFB-POKAL final. Borussia Dortmund cruising at 2-0 in front in the game. So there we go. Half-time. Can they hold on for 15 minutes? If they do that, they're crowned DFB-POKAL champions in a season that's been very underwhelming, I guess you could say, for Borussia Dortmund. And they continue to put the pressure on, actually. And this is where I like having these all-out attacks. When both teams are on the all-out attack, it creates so much space for the attackers. And it should have been 3-0 Borussia Dortmund. Pulisic wasting another big opportunity. But 120 minutes on the clock, and Borussia Dortmund had done it. And for all the hardships of this season, it was an incredibly unsatisfactory performance in the Bundesliga. But to reach a Champions League final, a DFB-POKAL final, and already have won one of the two is obviously a nice feeling indeed for Sheng. He might not be here again next season at Borussia Dortmund. There's clubs lining up bids for him. Already rejecting Chelsea in today's episode. I'm sure he'll be rejecting a few more as well when they do in fact come in. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Borussia Dortmund are DFB-POKAL champions. And up next, the big one that you're all excited for, I'm sure, the Champions League final, which will be recorded live with my live commentary over it, guys. So stay tuned for that one. I'm going to try and get it up and out as soon as I possibly can. Maybe Friday for you guys if I can do that. I am on the last of my course tonight, this Wednesday, to try and, I guess, qualify as a level 1 coach. And after tonight, I will have that title. So there we go. But that's it for today's episode. If you did enjoy it, a like would be greatly appreciated. As always, thank you so much for watching this episode. And if you are new around here and like what you see, the subscribe button is down below. You can click that and follow me on the channel to make sure you never miss an upload. Hit the notification bell alongside it as well. And that way you will stay tuned for any future uploads. But that's it from me for today, guys. I will see you all again from tomorrow for another video around 4 PM. Make sure you are subscribed as you will not want to miss them. Catch you again soon, guys. Adios.